Yo, what is up, my friends? It's your boy Steve from Straight Fire Picks. We're back with your best bets for NFL Sunday, week number 6, here on Sunday, October 12, 2025. We're going to cover all the 1 and 4 o'clock games here, guys. Really looking forward to this week. We got player props, spreads, totals, parlays, as always. Let's lock in and have a huge week in the NFL.
Well, my presence isn't real. It's another bad one like this is scale. It's straight fire, all my bets straight from. You're in the house, that cab made now. Straight fire.
As always, my friends, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Always appreciate that. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Appreciate all of you guys' support as always. Let's have a massive week 6 in the NFL. Really looking forward to what we got on tap here for you this weekend. Let's do a quick recap from Thursday Night Football. Guys, this is our best NFL results recap so far of the year, so we will happily take it. 2-1 plus 4.30 units. The reason why it was our best unit day of the year, we cashed our plus 350 parlay, or plus 3,500 parlay, with Jackson Dart to get a touchdown, Dallas Goedert to get a touchdown, Cam Scatterboo 2 catches, and Saquon Barkley 2 catches. How about Cam Scatterboo coming through clutch late in the fourth quarter to get us the cash on this? That was absolutely amazing. We took 1/10 of a unit and turned it over into over 3.5 units. You can't argue with that. It was a great night there for us. We cashed Cam Scatterboo's over in rushing yards on our single, and Devontae Smith's over in receiving yards on our single. That one did cash on the hook for us at 48.5. He finished with 49. So those of you that do miss, I do apologize about that. I mean, he should have had a lot more. Hurts missed him on a couple passes down the field. So. But overall, great evening for us, guys. That's the type of stuff we got to do. And we got more stuff like that here for you once again today. We got a couple parlays once again here for you today. We've been hot with the parlays. We cashed a touchdown parlay last week. We made over 3 units on that one. So we got another one here in store for you today that I think will be great value as well. As far as our comic cappers, we had Justin McKelvey calling Cam Scatterbo anytime touchdown scorer. And Lip Picks calling A.J. Brown over 57.5 receiving yards. So, great call-outs there from our comic cappers, guys. We love to see it. If you guys want to participate in that program, just drop your favorite pick down below. Put a star or an asterisk next to your pick, and we'll include your pick in our next video if it hits. So just keep that in mind. A lot of fun. Great way to participate here at the channel and help your fellow cappers. And let's all get to the window, guys. And hopefully we can have a big weekend here in the NFL. Check out all the links down below, pinned comment, description, any links you guys are looking for here around the channel in regards to membership, merchandise, social media links. It's all down below in the pinned comment description. Membership is just $3.99 for the entire month to get access to all of our picks and our plays early, a couple hours in advance of the video, and it's also a great way to support us here at the channel and what we're trying to do. So, as always, appreciate you guys. Without further ado, let's get after it. We have a lot of picks to cover. We got 6 straight picks. We got a for the Sweep Parlay, and we have a anytime touchdown parlay. So technically 8 picks. I don't know what you want to call the parlays because we're not putting full units on those. But 8 total things to go through. So let's get after it. Let's get right into our picks here. At number 1, we're starting off with the Indianapolis Colts. -7 on the spread here versus the Arizona Cardinals. We're going -105 odds on FanDuel. This is my favorite spread of the week, by a long shot. I think the Colts are going to dominate this game. Not quite to the extent they did versus the Raiders last week. They won 40-6 last week versus the Raiders. I don't think it gets that ugly, but I do think the Colts are very superior. They're playing at home. The vibes, teams in 2 different directions right now. Colts so far have been pretty undervalued this season. They're 4-1 against the spread. They have the number 1 spread differential in the NFL, which that really tells you the story about that, at plus 12.9, which means the books have not quite figured it out yet on how to value the Colts. And this one, if I was a line maker, I would value them closer to -10 in this one, just because of some of the things that happened last week, particularly with the Cardinals. Why I really think the Colts are going to boat race them in this one and make this game ugly, to be honest with you. Colts on the season, though, they're 4-1, not only against the spread, but 4-1 on the season. They really should be 5-0. They went out to Los Angeles, and they also should be 5-0 against the spread. They went out to Los Angeles and gave that game away. That was another one of those situations where the dude dropped the ball as he was going into the end zone. And the Colts really, got control of that game in the second half and ended up giving it back there at the end. But overall, the Colts should have won that game, but they did not. But still having a great season and performing very well, obviously, here at home. Cardinals 2-3 against the spread, coming off literally probably one of the worst losses I've ever seen in NFL history. And I'm not kidding, at least from my vantage point. Demercado, running back for the Cardinals, you guys know the story. He was running in for a long touchdown, dropped the ball at the goal line. The game was over. It was going to be 28-6 with that touchdown. Instead, the Titans got the football back out at the 20, ended up scoring later. They ended up getting a free touchdown later on a Cards interception. The guy dropped the interception, put the ball on the ground. Titans picked it up for a touchdown. Crazy stuff, guys. But anyway, one of the worst losses you could have as far as the Cardinals. So do they recover from that? I don't think so. I think that's one of those losses that just might bury this team. Between, Coach Gannon putting his hands on Demercado after that, the vibes right now in Arizona are not very good. Their offense has been inconsistent all season. They're 27th in yards per play. I don't trust their offense at all. They got injuries on the offensive end with Connor, Benson. Demercado was kind of their saving grace, and then he obviously did his thing. So the vibes are not good right now in Arizona, guys. Like I said, 27th in yards per play. The Colts are second in yards per play. They've been one of the best big play offenses. And I really don't think it matters too much that the Cards have a decent defense. I know they have a decent defense, but overall, I think the Colts are still going to exploit them. Danny Jones is having a career year. He's playing out of his mind, and I think that continues this week. I was initially going to take his over in passing yards again, but I just like them to absolutely beat up on the Cards here in week number 6. I think it's going to be ugly. So love it there, guys, for number 1 pick. We're going with the Indianapolis Colts -7 on the spread. -105 odds here on FanDuel. Kane at number 2, our favorite total of the week. We got over 47.5 points in the Seahawks-Jaguars game. -104 odds on FanDuel, risking a unit here. So you got two offenses put together that are averaging about 54 points per game. Obviously, we like that. Seahawks are 5th in the NFL in points per game at 29.2. Jaguars are 10th in the NFL at 25.4. Both of these teams are 3-2 to their respective overs. We just saw the Seahawks play a 38-35 game last week with the Bucs. We saw the Jaguars play the Chiefs last week, winning 31-28, 59 points there. So there's a lot of points when the Jaguars and Seahawks play, whoever they play, but especially I think when they play each other, I think we're going to see a lot of points here. They have very explosive players on the offensive sides of the ball. Obviously, Jackson Smith-Njigba for the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker, Sam Darnold, who, obviously kind of picking up where he left off in Minnesota during the regular season, looking very good in the pocket. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence with Hunter and ETN, and some of these guys that can make plays down the field. So, obviously, I love seeing that. I think we'll be able to have a lot of big plays down the field. If you were to get after these defenses, for one thing they don't do very well, they don't defend the pass very well. They give up a lot of big chunk plays. Jaguars are 27th, Seahawks 24th in pass yards allowed per game. So obviously I love seeing that. That was really my biggest draw to the over because I was very aware of the fact that both these secondaries have struggled, a bit. Despite their defenses being decent, Jags have forced a ton of turnovers. But overall, they give up a lot of yards, and takeaways are actually very friendly to overs as well. We saw that last week with the Jags when they got a pick six, ran it all the way back for a touchdown. You get defensive players in space, great athletes that have to dodge offensive linemen. You could score on those type of plays. So I'd be fine with a couple interceptions by Darnold or Lawrence, whoever wants to throw them. Usually it sets up short fields, and you can get returns, quick returns for 6 points. So obviously, I like seeing that, and that's really been the strength of the Jags defense. Outside of that, they've had to force the turnovers. That's what they've been doing so far this season. So I think this game definitely goes over. It's got all the makings for an over down in Jacksonville. Love it there, guys, for number 2 pick. We got the over 47.5 points in the Seahawks-Jaguars game, -104 odds here on FanDuel. Okay, and at number 3, we got Juwan Johnson, over 35.5 receiving yards here for the New Orleans Saints, minus 125 odds on Fanatics. Excuse me, guys. So really like the look on this one today, guys. Obviously, we took advantage of this matchup here versus the Patriots last week when the Bills played the Patriots, and Dalton Kincaid went for over 100 versus them. And we had Dalton Kincaid's receiving yards. That was the easiest cash in, I probably had of the season. He cashed on the first drive of the game. So I don't know if I don't think it's going to be that easy. You can never count on it being that easy, but I think Juwan Johnson is going to get some good looks versus this defense. This has really been the struggle for the Pats defense. It's been the middle of the field for the tight ends. The linebackers have not been matching up well on tight ends this season. And I think that could continue, obviously, here. You got Juwan Johnson averaging 7 targets per game. Now, he's come down the last couple of weeks, but overall, I'm not too concerned about that. I think that's just a little bit of variance there. I think he returns to getting 6, 7, 8 targets this week. And if he gets that, he should fly over the number. He's cashed this line in 3 of 5 games so far this season. So I think, once again, this is a great spot for him. Pats, like I said, the horrible versus tight ends. The 31st in defense versus position and yards allowed to the tight end position, just like we mentioned with Dalton Kincaid. This is going to be a Juwan Johnson game, guys. I think I like a lot of his props. I even like his touchdown prop. If you can get good value on that, I think this could be a spot where he can also score. Like I said, this has been a problem pretty much all year for the Patriots. They got absolutely murked by Brock Bowers. They got murked by Dalton Kincaid. Juwan Johnson's been pretty solid. He started the year very hot. Last couple weeks he's come down, but I think here he gets back on track here versus the Pats team that really struggles here versus the tight end position. So love it there, guys. For number 3 pick, we got Juwan Johnson, over 35.5 receiving yards here for the New Orleans Saints, minus 125 odds here on Fanatics. Okay, and at number 4, we got Christian McCaffrey, over 50.5 receiving yards here for the San Francisco 49ers, minus 125 odds on Fanatics, risking a unit here. So the biggest things I like about McCaffrey that really stand out, if you watch the 49ers play anybody right now, they have so many injuries at the wide receiver position that McCaffrey has pretty much been their entire offense, for the most part. Last week we saw Kendrick Bourne step up as well. Wide receiver there, but for the most part, McCaffrey is going to be very heavily involved in the game plan. A lot of touches, a lot of rushes, a lot of receptions. We've seen that all season. He's averaging 10.4 targets per game. You talk about, that's more than a lot of receivers get. He's averaging, a ton of targets, which obviously bodes well when they're taking an over like this. This is a very reasonable line. And he's 5 for 5 so far on the season to this line. So just on that alone, regardless of the matchup, I would probably take McCaffrey regardless of the matchup. But it also happens to be a very good matchup with the Bucs. Bucs are 30th defense versus position and receiving yards allowed to running back. So this is a no-brainer for me. You couple that with the fact that this is going to be likely a passing script here for the 49ers as they try to keep up with Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. There's going to be points in this one. Baker's going to put pressure on the Niners to score, so they're not going to be able to just go to the run or anything like that. They're going to have to throw the ball. They're going to have to get McCaffrey the football still because he's still one of their big playmakers. So if they have any hope of keeping up with the Bucs, CMC's got to be a very big part of it, rushing and receiving. But particularly receiving, like I said, on the road, negative game script. They're going to have to be throwing the ball. Really like McCaffrey to go over. He's averaging 77.4 receiving yards per game. It's about 27 above the line. You can't really be too mad at that. And even if the receivers are healthy, it still would be good. Even if they had Pearsall and the normal guys that were in there outside of Ayuk's still not back, obviously this would still be very good because he's still the most experienced weapon that they got. So love it there, guys, for number 4 pick. We got Christian McCaffrey, over 50.5 receiving yards here for the San Francisco 49ers, minus 125 odds here on Fanatics. Okay, and at number 5, we got Blake Corum, over 25.5 rushing yards here for the Los Angeles Rams, minus 125 odds here on Fanatics. Really love his line this week, guys. We took him last week, and he very much disappointed us. He was coming off a situation where his carries were going up each week. He went from 5 to 8 to 9 in consecutive weeks. He was getting more and more carries. And Sean McVay had talked about how he wants to be very disciplined in splitting the carries up between Corum and Kyren Williams, because he doesn't want to overwork Kyren Williams. Well, here, this is a great spot for Corum to get carries. Now, if somehow the Rams don't show up like they did versus the 49ers and somehow manage to be, fall behind to the Ravens with Cooper Rush, I don't know how that happens, but it could happen. Then maybe we get hurt here, but I really don't think that happens. I think we got to assume the Rams are going to come out and play pretty well and get back on track. They're a good football team. Blake Corum's going to get a lot of carries here. If the Rams start getting up in this game, Corum should get a lot of touches. A, because they don't want to overload Kyren Williams. B, because, this definitely could be a blowout in favor of the Rams. And obviously if that happens, Corum's going to be getting a lot of the carries. And we're talking about 26 yards. We're not talking about him needing to get 100 yards. We're talking about 26 rushing yards. Very easy to do versus a bad Ravens defense. The Ravens' run defense is 28th in defense versus position, yards allowed to running back. So obviously that's very good. Like I said, the big spread is a very good thing for us here as the Rams are favored by 7.5. Like I said, the rush attempts were very much on the rise the previous 3 weeks to that San Francisco game. Then on his second touch, he fumbled. So they really didn't go back to him after that. They fell behind. It just, the game got all messed up. And if you guys watch that game, you guys will know that game was all types of jacked up. And it probably hurt a lot of people. But I think here, I don't think he fumbles, right? I'm never going to project the guy to fumble. As long as he doesn't fumble, he should catch this line. And we can never project the guy to fumble the football. It should be more of a focus, obviously, for him now. And he should bounce back here. I don't see him having too much of a problem. Like I said, versus this Ravens defense, he should have a lot of success. So, love it there, guys. For number 5 pick, we got Blake Corum over 25.5 rushing yards here for the Los Angeles Rams. Minus 125 odds here on Fanatics. And finally, at number 6, my friends, we got R.J. Harvey over 45.5 rushing and receiving yards here for the Denver Broncos. We got minus 120 odds here on Fanatics. So, if you guys will recall, this is a guy that we cashed on rather easily. In a game, was it last Monday or the previous Monday, when they played the Cincinnati Bengals? We saw it as a spot where we thought Harvey would get a lot more volume, right? Because it was versus a Bengals team that they should blow out, which they did. It was a home game, etc., etc. There was a lot of reasons to like the rookie to get more touches. This is another one of those spots where they're playing the Jets. Okay, the Jets are, 0-5? Jets are 0-5 now. They're a bad football team. They don't play any defense. So Harvey should get a lot of touches here. I think the Broncos do blow the Jets out. That would probably be my second favorite spread of the week. I think the Broncos take care of the Jets. The Jets are just not. They're a very bad defensive team. Offensively, they just don't have enough balance early on in football games. We see Justin Fields show up in the fourth quarter when the game's already over. That's not enough. You got to do it earlier. And that just hasn't been happening versus the number 1 Broncos defense. I don't see that really changing too much here. So they should get ahead. And if that's the case, R.J. Harvey is going to get a lot of volume here. He's another one of these guys that should get a lot of volume. As a young guy, the Broncos want to use them. They've made that very clear. Of course, sometimes they get away from them, in a game when they're fighting from behind maybe, like last week versus the Eagles. But if the game script is positive, Harvey will very much be in play. Even when it's not, he was still used last week. Obviously, he got like 30 rushing and receiving yards in a much tougher matchup. But here versus the Jets, they don't defend the running back position well. They don't defend well in space. They don't make tackles. We saw that last week with Dallas. The Jets are 21st in defense versus positioning and rushing and receiving yards allowed to running backs. The biggest problem, if you watch Jets games, we saw last week, and this helped us out because we had Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson took a 30-yard touchdown on a little dump-off that you could throw to a running back, and he literally just pretty much walked through the defense for a touchdown. He didn't get touched. So that could happen with a guy like R.J. Harvey. He's very quick. He's very fast. So he could very much make the Jets pay, and I think he will. And I love having his combo line because, like I said, he's a big play guy waiting to happen. So I think he gets it done for us here today. So love it there, guys. For number 6 pick, we got R.J. Harvey over 45.5 rushing and receiving yards. Here for the Denver Broncos, we got minus 120 odds here on Fanatics. And then, guys, of course, we have our For the Sweep Parlay. Plus 37.96 odds on Fanatics. I I don't have a profit boost on it because I'm recording this a little bit early. They didn't drop me any boost. But risking a tenth of a unit to make about 3.8 units here. We will obviously take that. Hopefully we can obviously lock in and hit this one. Really likes the looks here obviously this week, and hopefully we can make some big buckos here this week. And then, of course, our anytime touchdown parlay, which we hit last week. We cashed last week at plus 1264. This week it's plus 2450. It's still just 3 guys, but it's 3 guys I love, and I love the value. I'm always looking for guys that hold a bit of value on their touchdown and that are in pretty good positions here. And I love all 3 of these guys. Jake Ferguson, anytime touchdown. So far, he's 2 for 2 this season and starts without CeeDee Lamb. So I obviously like to see that. Ferguson's volume goes up without Lamb in the lineup. And that obviously applies in the red zone. He is really the favorite red zone target, really as he should be. Him and Pickens, but Ferguson's a great red zone target. And the Panthers 21st in defense versus position to tight ends. We saw Darren Waller tear them up last week and got a touchdown last week. So I think Ferguson could do it here. Darren Waller, anytime touchdown. 2 for 2 this season. We just talked about him. Chargers 15th, defense versus position. This is another spot where when the Dolphins get in the red zone, Waller's going to be the guy, I think. Without Tyreek Hill, Waller is definitely their best red zone threat. And I really like him to score as well for the 3rd straight game. And there's a ton of value on his line. It's like plus 250 just for him. And then, of course, DK Metcalf, anytime touchdown in 3 or 4 games this season. Browns are 28th, defense versus position to wide receivers and touchdowns allowed to wide receivers. Their secondary actually does have some problems. Despite how good their defense has been this year, they've been very good versus the run. They sometimes do have problems a little bit on the back end. And I think a guy like DK Metcalf can make them pay. And I think if the Steelers are going to be getting in the end zone, I think Metcalf could definitely be one of those guys to score. So, love all 3 of these guys. I love the value. We are risking a quarter of a unit to make over 6 units because why not? And we're taking our shots. So I absolutely love this one though, guys. As always, if you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Always appreciate that. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Appreciate all of your guys' support. Guys, it's been actually a nice run in the NFL over the last week. Like I said, we cashed our touchdown parlay last week, which was huge. And we cashed a huge parlay on Thursday night. So hopefully we get another one here on NFL Sunday. I'm confident we can. And then also just keep in mind our NFL Sunday Night Football Best Bets video, Lions and Chiefs. That video will be out later tonight around 8 p.m. So make sure you guys look for that as well. Outside of that, that'll do it for me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you next time. Peace out.